Welcome to My Weekly Mixtape, a podcast that takes the classic mixtape approach to building a modern playlist. I'm your host, Brian Colburn. Joining me tonight once again as guest curator is the one and only Sean Faust. Welcome back, my friend.
Dude, I'm psyched to finally be back on this show that you never invite me to, and I'm really heartbroken about it. But now here we are talking about one of my favorite bands ever, Dream Theater. Wait, that's not it. Here we are talking about one of my favorite bands ever, Pink Floyd. That's not it. Wait, hold on. Here we are talking about one of my favorite bands ever, the Phish from Vermont. Did I get it right that time?
You got it right that time. I won't have to edit it.
All right.
Now, look, I got to be honest here. Phish is going to be a tough musical road to go down because depending on where you are in terms of your fandom, and that's PH in fandom, if I'm doing this correctly, there are a lot of Phish fans out there that would build their ultimate Phish mixtape using specific live recordings from various tours over the years. But tonight, you and I are taking on the challenge of creating the ultimate Phish 101 mixtape, meaning this is a nice introduction to the band, their vibe, and their sound if you've only heard of Phish but have never heard them play a single note. Did you find any aspect of that challenging when you were pulling your songs for this?
Not really, because I just thought about before. Like, I've got my life that's BP and then PP. And don't be crude, but there's BP, of course, before Phish, I guess before fandom, and then I guess, well, I mean, PP could be DP and it could be during fandom or AP, whatever we're calling it. Now I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. But I'm going to go with like a lot of what I was introduced to, along with stuff that I just kind of, as new albums come out, or just stuff I discovered on my own just from listening to countless amounts of bootlegs and then hearing the album.
And then do you think there's going to be any stigma with the hardcore Phish fans that we are doing a studio mix here? Because at the end of the day, there are some fans that will always steer people to the live albums before any of the studio albums. And I kind of disagree with that because I think, at least through the songs I'm bringing to the bank tonight, there's actually a lot of magic happening on the studio renditions.
A lot of the diehards I know are going to be like, wait, you guys are talking studio and you want me to listen to this? And I'm like, yeah, I want you to listen to this because if you don't, you're not a real fan if you don't listen to everything that says Phish, man. You're not a real fan. You're not a real fan if you don't like it. No, I mean, I'm even one of those people, like, I can throw on some albums and be like, oh, I love this so much, but I'm a live guy too. So, but also my intro to Phish was studio stuff, as we'll get into.
Well, there's always a part 2 where we can do a live renditions episode. But before that, let's get down to business on tonight's topic, where tonight, Sean and I will be curating the ultimate Phish mixtape, and we'll use the old cassette deck approach. Sean, as my special guest, will begin side A with his first song choice, and then I'll add a song that I feel best follows up that choice. We'll then flip-flop choosing songs until we've mapped out 10 tracks for side A. We'll then give our mixtape a proverbial flip, and we'll map out side B, only this time I'll kick things off with Sean choosing second. Our overall goal for the episode is to craft the best Phish mixtape possible through only 20 songs. At the end of the show, you can take our conversation to the next level by visiting the episode page at myweeklymixtape.com to give our final mixtape a listen via the embedded playlist. And if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or becoming a part of the Patreon Mixtaper community at patreon.com/myweeklymixtape. There you'll find ad-free episodes of the show, gain immediate access to future My Weekly Mixtape episodes, hear exclusive bonus banter clips, chime in on upcoming show topics, become a future guest, and so much more. And a few of the Patreon mixtapers chimed in with the songs they would use to kick things off tonight, and I want to give a quick shout out to a few of those. Brandon from Virginia chimed in saying he's got to go old school with Chalk Dust Torture, saying Trey knocks it out of the park with his solo. Tom Hutchinson chimed in saying that he knows that I'm a sucker for covers, so he went with the band's take on the Beastie Boys' Sabotage. And Jason Donchis chimed in saying that the team over at the R4 podcast is recording their Billy Breathes episode. So since he's primed on that album at the moment, Free, opening that record is fantastic. So that's what he'd start the mixtape with. And I'm looking forward to hearing that R4 episode on Billy Breathes when it drops. Now, Sean, along with the Patreon mixtapers, I tried something new for this episode tonight. A few weeks back, I posted an album dive episode on Moe's brand new studio album, Circle of Giants, which is an incredible record, I should add. But Jim Laughlin from the band joined me, and when we were done with the episode, I decided to ask him what he'd start his ultimate Phish playlist with, and here's what he had to say.
I would pick Maze off a riff. It's probably the first song, like, I'm not the biggest Phish fan, but they were really big. Obviously, when I was in college, it was right when they started hitting their stride. And Rift and Picture of Nectar are probably my two most familiar Phish records. And I had went to see them at the Riviera Theater in Buffalo, or just outside of Buffalo, with Vin and a couple other guys back in the day. And this was before, I'd never seen them before. I wasn't familiar with them at all. And that particular song just, again, it was a song that just hit me like, wow, like these guys are extremely talented. To see and watch the song live is, you really, if you're a player, you don't even have to, but you could really, it points out their internal clocks, the time, and how much they know each other on a stage. Like, that was the stuff that just got me like, holy cow. They're so solid, and they clearly know exactly what the other one is going to do at any given point in time. You know, the vocal harmonies on at the end, like everything about that song really gave me a just tremendous amount of respect for them as players, you know, as musicians, as songwriters, is just like, wow, I wasn't sure you could do that, but apparently people can.
Now, once again, if you'd like to chime in for future My Weekly Mixtape episodes, join the Mixtaper community at patreon.com/My Weekly Mixtape. And now, Sean, I'm officially pressing the record button on our mixtape tonight, and you are free to talk about your first tube song choice of the evening.
I gotta tell you, man, these jokes are just not on fuego. Including that one that I just made. So to kick off this tape, I thought of the first song that I knew for a fact was Phish. And the funny thing about it is, I thought it was the Red Hot Chili Peppers the first time I heard it on the radio, because of the stop, 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 stop. So it kind of weirded me out when I was like, wait, that's not the Chili Peppers? Which I guess that worked out to my benefit anyway. But Down with Disease is that song that hooked me immediately. It's also, the first time I saw Phish was years later. It was 2003 at the Burn, or whatever it was called at the time. And B.B. King sat in. But the only tune, as far as I recalled, that I knew was Down with Disease. And they opened with it. So what a way to just, let's introduce me to the live aspect of Phish, and let's introduce people that don't know Phish to Phish.
From 1994's Hoist, written by Trey Anastasio and Tom Marshall, a songwriting duo you might hear about as much tonight as Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller mentioned during the My Weekly Mixtape Oldies episodes. The song reached number 33 on the Billboard US Mainstream Rock Tracks chart. And I'm going to say this now, we're not going to be talking a lot of Billboard charts tonight, because Phish is a band that, and I'll use quote unquote here, made it in a very untraditional sense. They had no label machine really behind them. Yes, they were signed to Elektra. Yes, they were on a major label. But at the end of the day, they were not known as a radio MTV band. They made a name for themselves via their live shows, the tapers, and the word of mouth that truly drove this band to the levels that they're at now. I love the fact that you started this with something a little funky, a little fun, a little upbeat. It is a perfect set opener. Usually I think when they do it live, it's your second set opener, but I have seen them set one it a few times, which is surprising. It's always fun to hear it, whatever point of the show they play it. And it's the only Phish music video in their entire career, except for Esther, which was a quote-unquote semi-official 1991 fan-made video. So if you were to be exposed to any Phish music video, this is pretty much it, besides live content.
And you saw it through a fish eye lens. You did.
Well, I am going to follow up your sentiment, Sean, with the exact same story, believe it or not. This is one of the songs that got me to fall in love with Phish, and coincidentally, it's the first song I ever saw Phish play live. So I am going to follow up Down with Disease with Heavy Things from 2000's Farmhouse, written by Trey and Tom along with Scott Herman. It's the band's 5th most streamed song on Spotify with 11.6 million streams. So technically, if you want to call it a quote-unquote hit, it's one of the band's more known songs. It's the first Phish song that I truly fell in love with, and it was my personal musical gateway drug to this band. Because what made me fall in love with this song is the yin and yang situation that's playing out. The song itself is very light and breezy, I guess you want to call it, but the lyrics kind of paint a different picture. And that's something that happens a lot in music. And for some reason, it always piques my interest because it could either really set a song to new levels or it could actually backfire and make the song almost too much to digest. Trey's guitar work on the song is perfect because this type of song doesn't require anything stratospheric. So he never overplays in this song. He just kind of doodles for the guitar solo, if you want to call it that, but it feels very breezy and airy of a jam on his part. So there's something in this song, I don't know, it's hypnotic. It's like the Pied Piper of Hamlet on guitar, and Trey's just kind of bouncing down the street.
Wow, you missed a good pun there where you could have said he's bouncing around the... Oh, you already said Pied Piper. I like that song.
We've jammed that many a times.
That's the song that we didn't overplay that I loved playing with you. Not that I don't love the other song, which maybe we'll get to that, maybe we won't. We'll find out.
All right, so what are you following up Heavy Things with?
Okay, so I know I said Down with Disease is like the first Phish tune for me. It's the first tune that got me into Phish. However, the year before, I remember Rift coming out, and my good friend Eric made a mixtape for me. Pretty cool, right? Here we go. Old school. It's a mixtape. And I remember a lot of the stuff that was on it, too. And some of that stuff I wish they would bring back into their repertoire. But I didn't really start listening to the tape on a regular basis until after I got into Down with Disease. And the funny thing about this mixtape of Phish is that the Blues Traveler album had just come out. I don't remember what album it was, so forgive me. But the B-side, after the Blues Traveler album was copied for me, sorry guys, was a mix of Phish stuff. And the first tune that was on it that really grabbed me was My Friend, My Friend. And
nice.
I love arrangements like that. I love composition like that. You know me, I'm a prog rock guy, so I'm into stuff like that with the long instrumental intros and all that stuff. And man, just even how the beat gets flipped, how Fishman flips the beat once it kicks in. I love My Friend, My Friend. That's a driving tune. And I love the fact that they've been jamming a lot lately.
Yeah, they've been definitely opening that one up from 1993's Rift. 3 in a row for Trey and Tom for our first 3 songs, which obviously it's your main songwriting duo in Phish. So don't be too shocked if that happens a lot tonight. Like you mentioned, I have to agree. The opening of My Friend, My Friend is very whimsical. I'll almost say it gives me a Jethro Tull-ish type vibe. I'm not saying it's Jethro Tull, but I'm saying I catch vibes of it, at least in the first 2.5 minutes before, like you said, Fishman just flips the song on its side and you transition into this darker groove. Rift was the first concept album for Phish, not counting Trey's 1988 album, The Man Who Stepped Into Yesterday, which was his senior thesis over at Goddard College. And believe it or not, I'm actually surprised the band hasn't released like an archive of it to like at least Nugs or something, considering songs like Wilson, The Lizard, and Possum are all live staples. This would have been their quote unquote studio versions, but I digress.
It's out there.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, what's funny, you bring up the more, it's not a concept as much as a theme. It shares a theme of sleep and dreams. So I mentioned Dream Theater earlier. Their album that just came out, Parasomnia, when I first heard the description of it, the theme is like dreams and nightmares and stuff like that. I'm like, wait, so the theme of this prog rock band's album is dreams. Didn't Phish already do that in 1993? So, I mean, and trust me, like, I'm very happy with the new Dream Theater album. And, I'm talking apples and walnuts right now, so I can't even compare them. But it's cool that, like, two of my favorite bands have done an album about dreams.
Well, following that up, there's a small part of me that wants to think in a live sense here. Because at the end of the song, you've got the repetition of my friend, he's got a knife to close the song. And for some reason in my head, if they were doing this live, I can almost hear the panning and swirling opening to Ghost underneath those lyrics in repetition. And as soon as they hit the last, my friend, he's got a knife, Mike and Fishman kick in with the beat from 1998's The Story of the Ghost and tonight's first album opening track. The song is perfect for that musical gateway drug into the band because the studio version clocks in at 3 minutes and 52 seconds. However, pretty much any time this song is played live, it's always opened up and explored in some facet, with a lot of the live versions clocking in well over 20 minutes. Then you kind of hone in on the song. Even on the studio version, Mike's slap bass during the breakdown kind of seals the deal on this track for me, as it brings out the funkiness in the band, but it's not in such a manic Red Hot Chili Pepper sense like Down with Disease was. So anytime I'm trying to introduce someone to Phish, I like to keep Ghost pretty close to the front because it's a fun, easily digestible song from a studio length standpoint, but it also gives you teases of what you can expect from them in a live setting.
Well, that album was recorded from jam sessions where they took parts of the jam and wrote around that. And now that might not be 1,000,000% accurate, but I'm 99% sure that that's exactly how the album is. So you are kind of still getting that live vibe from Phish. What an awesome choice. What an awesome album. And I actually hear what you're telling my friend, he's got a knife. Bam, boom, boom.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, when you're listening to Ghost and you're coming out of Ghost in this jam, you reach into your pocket, right? And you pull out a big doobie and you blaze on. You see what I did there? I made a pun. But yeah, I'm going to follow it up with Blaze On. I remember the first time I heard that was 2015. And I was listening to the show on the drive out to Pittsburgh for a gig with the Pittsburgh Browncoats for a Can't Stop the Serenity event. I do have to give my Browncoats some love. And Blaze On came on. And Robert Fulton, who I've played with in several facets, was telling me like, oh yeah, you're going to dig this new tune. And not even a minute in, I'm like, my God, Blaze On is an instant classic. Of course, I'm not going from that show. I'm going from the album Big Boat. But Blaze On it's just instant classic Phish.
Absolutely right. 2016's Big Boat. Once again, Trey and Tom, the writers on this one, It is my favorite song from Big Boat. So I'm glad you picked it because it was in my bank. And I will say this as a spoiler, it was the only song in my bank, although there are other ones. I feel like when you get into songs like Petrichor that might be a little too much for that 101 vibe, Blaze On definitely is closer to the, I don't know if you want to call it radio-friendly side of Phish, but it's definitely a digestible track where Petrichor is definitely a lot more experimental. And I think we're going to get to some of that tonight, but we're not quite there yet.
Petrichor is prog rock. It's total prog rock, yeah. But the funny thing is, too, is like, all right, so it's not rain, but I mean, Petrichor, the word itself, a pleasant smell because of the rain. And like, well, Blaze On is also a pleasant smell. So we could say either of these songs, but I'm going with Blaze On.
All right. Well, we're now at track 6 on side A, and I'm thinking again, even though we're putting studio songs out there, I'm thinking, okay, if this was a set, what would happen in this point of the set? And I think this is the point where we'd bring it down a notch, or at least in this case, several notches. And I
said bring it down. Thank you.
No, we're not going with Guar's Sick of You.
Oh, sorry. All right, my bad.
From 1996's Billy Breathes, which the whole album actually peaked at number 7 on the Billboard 200 chart, and it's the highest the band has ever charted. So from their, I guess, biggest album, I am going to go with Waste, which is the 4th highest streamed song on Spotify at 11.9 million streams. And for the 6th song in a row, Trey and Tom are the writers for this one. But, you know, like I said, that's going to happen a lot tonight. And I got a kind of a fun story about this song.
How you scooped me on it? That's a really fun story.
Yeah, I scooped Sean on Waste. Also, back when I took the family to Disney, I want to say this is, I don't know, a good 10, 15 years ago for the first time.
Are you allowed to say that word without getting sued?
Yeah, it's a place.
Okay.
It's a location.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So my folks said, if you and the missus want a night out, go to the boardwalk and have some fun. So we did, and we went to a place called Jelly Rolls. And Jelly Rolls is a dueling piano bar in Disney. And you sit at tables, you have drinks, and there's a stack of napkins on your table with a pen next to it. And you throw a tip into the napkin, you write a song title, you crumple it up, and you throw it to the stage. So I literally put my tip in and just wrote PHISH, period. Crumpled it up and threw it in. About 5 or 6 songs later, the guy opens it up and he looks in the crowd. He goes, all right, which one he asked for Phish? and I raised my hand, and he's like, I can only do one that I think I could do justice. And he started the opening piano for Waste. And I literally sat back in the chair. And as he was singing it, the other piano player didn't play, just started harmonizing them. And they did the whole song, and it was friggin' perfect. And there's something about this song that is just so beautiful. And this is a side of Phish that I think a lot of people that picture the band don't go here. And they should, because this is a place in the band's sound that I think is truly underrated.
I love Page's playing on this a lot. He's like the standout. You scooped me. I love your story. You scooped me, and I'm sure this isn't original. We're not the first people. We're the first people I know of that did this, but it was my wedding song.
Well, now I feel really bad for scooping you on it.
You had to scoop my wedding song. Well, you know, I don't know who's got the better story, you or me.
I mean, I'd say you.
I mean, like I said, it's probably not the most original idea, but I've never been to a wedding of Phish fans until mine, and then till after that. And not everybody did Waste. I've seen Waste, and I haven't seen Waste, and I think it's just that song. It's a sweet song, and my poor wife is completely wasting her time with me. So it's wow, good choice, bro. Good choice. All right, so you know how I said I love prog rock?
I do, and yeah, I was kind of surprised to hear that, but yeah.
No, I know. I never talk about my love for prog rock or Floyd or Dream Theater, right? And I do Phish is a jam band, but there's a lot of prog rock influence there. There's an everything. They're a melting pot of awesome.
Yes.
And this song has this middle section that is like the jam band equivalent of Dream Theater's Metropolis, where it just here's the song, here's the song, here's the song, here's this. What the hell is this awesomeness?
I think I know where you're going.
From the album Lawn Boy, I'm going to go with Reba.
Yeah. Jazzy, proggy, fusion prowess, all at play here. I mean, you think about, the song kind of fools you, Sean. You got the whole bag it, tag it, sell it to the butcher in the store, oh, bag it. And you just get all caught up in that. But buckle up, because there's 12 minutes and 27 seconds in this song. And I think this is the first time tonight we're truly testing the Phish 101 crowd with a studio track that starts to bridge us into the live aspect of the band, which makes sense because Lawn Boy was recorded mostly live to tape when they won studio time after the Junta album was out and about. So if you're lucky enough to have the original Absolute A Go-Go pressing of this CD, which was prior to Elektra remastering and re-releasing it, you actually get a bonus track of Fee. But anyway, I digress. Love the pick. Love the exploration in this one. But from a 101 perspective, this definitely is going to test new listeners to see if they really get Phish.
Well, here's the thing, though, man. Like, if they're going to listen to this mixtape, right? And then you're like, oh, that's a band I would definitely go see live. Well, let's prep them sooner than later, right?
Yeah. Yes. Well, to follow that up, I think I'm going to palate cleanse from a 101 perspective, because the other part of me wants to go and just go nuts into some epic long jams here, but we're thinking 101. And the song I'm going to go with, I have to kind of preface with the fact that after Trey's Shine solo album, there's a definite blurring of Trey's solo sound and Phish's sound. However, there's this gray area in the middle that I think post-Joy, the band started sitting in very comfortably. And I am going to go to 2020's Sigma Oasis. Now, the entire album was already familiar with Phish fans, as most of the songs were previewed live before the studio album dropped. And I think it was Mercury and Shade were both leftovers from Big Boat. Now, once again, and in the case of Sigma Oasis, the entire album was written by Trey and Tom, with Scott Herman contributing to 2 songs, Evening Song, as well as my pick, the title track, Sigma Oasis. This album was very memorable to me in a positive way because during the 2020 COVID lockdowns, Phish was doing the Tuesday night dinner and a movie series on YouTube. And I remember this specifically because on the March 31st edition, they announced that the next night they were hosting a listening party on Live Phish, SiriusXM, and YouTube. And I was quick to look at the date, March 31st. What's tomorrow's date? April 1st. So I honestly thought they were setting up everybody for a virtual New Year's Eve gag. And I had no idea what to expect, but sure enough, they weren't bluffing. And they premiered the Sigma Oasis album in its entirety. And as soon as the album ended, it premiered on all the streaming sites. It was a really fun way to debut an album at a dark period in time. And that opening song just had such a fun, uplifting spirit and vibe. And Farmhouse, like I mentioned with Heavy Things, is my favorite Phish album. So hearing Sigma Oasis's opening, I really did catch a lot of that Farmhouse sound in the song. So I think the combination of those two things is why it resonates with me as much as it does.
Dude, that's an awesome pick. That's one of my of the newer stuff from Phish. That's one of my favorite newer songs. So, what a nice choice there. And I'm actually I'm hearing that D. I don't know if you got to watch the Tiny Desk concert, but they did it at that, and it was really awesome.
Yeah,
so, yeah. Wow, what a great choice. How do I follow this up, bro? We keep talking about Trey, and like, you know, we mentioned, you know, Mike and Fishman and Page briefly, but how about Mike, Page, and Fishman completely owning it? Now, Trey is awesome on this track too, but there's some killer organ, there's that awesome boop, boop, boop.
Oh,
And as the gentleman from Mo, Jim Laughlin said, Maze, bro, Maze.
Nice.
Maze. I mean, dude, first of all, I mean, Fishman's drumming on the entire Rift album is just otherworldly, and no human being should be able to play that. Yet there he is, just simply like, oh, yeah, I got this, no problem. And if you listen to the drumming on that album, it's out of this world. Not only that, I still haven't gotten the song Rift live, but I digress. Maze is always just a pleasure to get. I believe we got it the same night that you got the Heavy Things opening.
Mm-hmm.
And man, Page just tears it up. Yeah, I'm going with Maze. Dude, I just love this album so much.
It's our first revisit of the night. First time we're going back to an album. Once again, a Trey and Tom song. Clocking in at 8 minutes and 13 seconds. We're not quite at the Reba level here, but you're certainly testing those Phish 101 lines in terms of drawing a musical line in the sand. But I think between the two longer songs that you've chosen, these are songs to me that even on the album itself, they don't feel as long as their runtimes might allude to. And the thing I love so much about Maze is this is the kind of song that I have to put on headphones and listen to because there's so much separation happening in this song. It is so well mixed. When you listen on a good set of headphones, the band is really surrounding you. And it's almost theatrical in the way the song was produced. You almost feel the tension and anxiety in the music and in the playing. And the way it's mixed in a good set of headphones, it's almost like the band is circling you the entire time the song is playing. And that is such a difficult thing to achieve on a studio track that I feel like this is an example that if there was an argument for why you should listen to Phish studio albums, it's moments like this.
That's a very fair assessment. Dude, I mean, the production on that album, like you said, the space is just there. You are in that world.
It's immersive entirely.
What are you going to follow that up with, though, bro?
Well, we got to go with a side closer here. So my mind started thinking, what's a good set closer coming out of Maze? And I feel like we've touched on the whole spectrum of albums from the band. Well, not the whole spectrum, but a big swath of their musical spectrum. But we haven't gone back to 1989 and the album Junta, so we have to go there.
Oh, dude, are you going to scoop me?
Well, let's find out. Written
All
by
right.
Trey and Tom, along with Brian Sutzer and Aaron Wolf. Sean, maybe you can help me out with the lyrics here. I looked into the finance box just to check my status. Look, it's no surprise to anybody listening that I am a huge ska punk fan. And while no, ska's not breaking out the real big fish in this song.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Ha ha ha. There are some ska elements to Trey's playing over the Golgi Oh Woe Is Me sections. And every time I hear that song, it always puts a smile on my face. So if you want to hear a Phish crowd erupt at the end of the set, Golgi Apparatus, I Saw You with a ticket stub in your hand, it's game over. The whole crowd is going crazy. Even the people that are singing I Saw You with a chicken sub in your hand. It's one of those songs that found its home closing out Phish sets. So I thought, what a perfect way to close out side A and channel that end of set energy in a studio song.
You know what's weird, man? The last time I saw them at MSG, set one was all early stuff, man. And they closed the set with Golgi.
And there you have it, mixtapers, side A of the ultimate Phish mixtape, which consists of Down with Disease from Hoist, Heavy Things from Farmhouse, My Friend from Rift, Ghost from The Story of the Ghost, Blaze On from Big Boat, Waste from Billy Breathes, Reba from Long Boy, Sigma Oasis from the album of the same name, Maze from Rift, and Golgi Apparatus from Junta. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page. Now, Sean, you have a new tune out that you've been promoting as of late on all of the socials. The song is called Status Quo Radio, so let's take a quick listen to a clip from that.
Where do we go from here? Must it always be the same songs? There's more to be heard and more to be seen if we open our eyes. And how can it not pain you so when you've heard everything that you know on Status Quo Radio?
So, Sean, why don't you talk about the story behind Status Quo Radio?
So, I've been in tributes and cover bands and still doing the original thing. And it just, this whole addiction to things we're familiar with. Just looking at our screens or just, I saw on social media that everybody was doing this and I need to fit in. And I saw on social media that this, and I saw on social media that. And I was looking at my screen the whole time I should have been watching a movie because I was in the theater. And people just get addicted to doing things. Like some people like go to the concert just to say that they were there, but they don't even like the band. And they've learned everything they know on Status Quo Radio. And it's social media is just people out there that just need to be seen even though they're doing nothing. Let me post pictures of my food. Oh, my food looks better than yours. Let me post a clip of this concert I'm at while people are asking me to like put my phone down. So, yeah, I mean, I'm angry. You can tell. and I'm angry in some really mellow ways. And I mean, that song is sarcastic, but it's just an observation. Like, just be yourself. Think for yourself. Stop trying to fit in on everything because your Uncle Milt posted something on Facebook and you read the headline and assumed the rest of the story. Just go out and do things for yourself. And, while I'm at it with my anger, be yourself, buy yourself. But come to my shows, please.
Well, Sean, since this is a Phish episode, I want to talk about one other song from your back catalog. I guess we'll call it that. And that is the title track from your Inside Again EP.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Seeing all this distance traveled, just killing time until the show. Unaware the facts remain inside us. 15 miles, 20 hours to go. And we walk on down the road. 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 And I'm lost inside again. And I feel what I cannot forget. And I'm found inside myself. Did you ever make it to the show? Walk on down the road. Walk on down the road.
This is a song I think a lot of Phish fans can relate to, maybe exactly like you did, or in one way or another.
I mean, I was inspired by the people that I guess wrote the chorus. I mean, I saw that and I was like, wow. So we drove up to Coventry and, we left about 15 hours before the gates opened or something like that. And it's a 3-hour drive. But, Debbie is an expert at these festivals and knew like it's going to be a long line to get in. So we left and we were on the side of the road and it's just this big holdup. And we were about 20 or 30 miles away. I changed the lyric a bit to just flow better, 15 miles, 20 hours to go. But it was more like 20 miles maybe, 24 miles, and like 36 hours to go. until we heard Mike come on the radio. If you were not within, I think it was 5 miles, you're not going to get in, and we're sorry, because the grounds got flooded and nobody saw that coming. The Farmer's Almanac did not see it coming. Like, they just weren't prepared for the amount of mud. And actually, funny thing about the mud is that the song Mud City from Bar 17 is about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just getting so frustrated and so upset and angry. Like, what's going on? What's going on? And of course, you know, you're listening to the Bunny and they're talking about people like just completely going in the left lane to like cut in a few miles in. And like, I don't shame them. Like, do whatever they want. But then I got home and I saw online that people like moved their cars up more and like parked on the side of the road and walked to Coventry to be there for Phish's last show. And had it not been a 20-something mile walk and we were prepared better, we might have done that. But I was so moved that everybody was just so dedicated to being there at that moment that I wish I could have thought of that at the time or just done that. So that song is for those people.
All right. Now I get to kick things off for side B. And I know exactly how I'm going to kick this side off. You started with Down with Disease on side A, and that's that upbeat, crazy set opening energy. And I'm going to follow that up with upbeat, crazy set opening energy with Chalk Dust Torture from 1992's A Picture of Nectar. And that comes along with a shout out to Patreon mixtaper Brandon from Virginia, who also chimed in with this one. The first promotional single released by Elektra Records for the band. It actually peaked at number 53 on the Radio and Records album-oriented rock chart. Like I said, not a lot of charts to talk about, but when they happen, I'm going to mention them. One of the band's biggest live staples, it actually hit its longest version ever, February 3rd, 2024, at their Riviera Maya event in Cancun, Mexico. Now, if you're a Phish 101er and you want to explore what a truly lengthy and epic Phish jam is like, I'll embed the pro shot live version of this monster over on the episode page at myweeklymixtape.com. Chalk Dust Torture was my ringtone for years. However, at one point I just had to change it because anytime it came on shuffle in my car, I actually would start trying to answer the phone. And I knew at that point it was time. But kicking off side B, Chalk Dust Torture.
You scooped me on the jam. That's a great tune. And I actually like how that was recorded with the vocals sped up. So when it came back, it come stumble my mirth worker. Oh, wow. What a great tune. Oh, man. So where do I... You know what? I kind of want to go mellow sooner because... You know how I say Pink Floyd is my favorite band, right?
Yes.
So it's the early 2010s, and I see that Bob Ezrin is producing the next Phish album, and my head explodes. And the album Fuego comes out. So the first single released was Waiting All Night, and I remember listening to that in headphones like, oh my God, this is a Bob Ezrin production, all right? And I was so into it. And then, of course, we knew most of this album when it was originally called Wingsuit. Mm-hmm. They had debuted it for Halloween the year before. And I'm going with the song Wingsuit. Now, I was going to say 555 for my buddy Mike that I used to work with, because we're 555 to this day. We're always like reaching out to each other because we just, hey, another song with horns, by the way, bro.
Yeah.
But Wingsuit just, it's got that like this mellow Floydy thing. But when it kicks in, it's almost like that Gilmore guitar tone that he gets. And it's just, here comes the adventure. And Wingsuit just has always done it for me since day one. And the production on Fuego is just so outstanding.
And it feels good because it feels good. For the first time tonight, songwriting credits go to Phish. Well, Trey, John, Mike, and Paige respectively on a song. So I thought I had to point that out. And I love that you mentioned the Halloween 2013 show because I am trying to think of another band that could walk out on stage and say, hey, everybody, here's a brand new album for you. And we're going to play it in its entirety. Like bands will debut a song here and there, maybe two in a set if they're really being adventurous. But Phish just walks out and says, no, we're going to play an entire set of music you have never heard before. And in most musical spaces. I think it's safe to say that a lot of audiences would be confused and baffled at that notion. But Phish fans embrace and welcome this. I mean, I think about the fact that they also did the Kasvat Voxed album. I have no idea if that's how you're supposed to pronounce it, but I digress.
I think that's how it's pronounced. And you know what? You're talking about how like Phish does that. I thought that one was great because for those of you that are Phish 101, when you go into a Halloween show, you get a playbill. And that's how you find out what they're doing for their Halloween set. And it was funny to troll that because for the Kasvat Vok set, like people were like, oh yeah, I kind of remember this album because like the playbill was like all 80s looking. So it was just like, there's always that like know-it-all, like that just they need to be like, oh yes, I know everything. And like just to troll people like that and they'd be like, yes, I know everything. Kasvat Vox, I had that record when I was younger. No, you didn't. And they just trolled you and that was friggin' awesome.
The 1981 fictional album, I Rock. What a great way to debut songs. And they still incorporate a lot of those songs in their sets to this day. So it wasn't just a one-off thing. It's part of the Phish canon.
No. And if there was a studio album, Say It To Me Santos would be all over this list, but there's no studio album.
Well, these are songs we'll have to save for the live Phish episode we do to follow this one up. Love the fact that you picked Wingsuit. Love the approach. And I'm thinking about the ending of Wingsuit because it ends on that crescendo at the end of the song. The crescendo happens, and as it's ringing out, there's a 4 count into Stealing Time from the Faulty Plan from 2009's Joy. I'm not going to outright call this a blues song, but the way that Trey attacks the lead guitar, I would say it's definitely blues rock adjacent as only Phish could pull off. And the lyrics, got a blank space where my mind should be, written by Trey, Tom, and Scott Herman again. Joy starts off just so perfect. The 1-2 punch of backwards down the number line into Stealing Time to open an album. But coming out of Wingsuit, I felt like backwards down the number line might feel a little jarring. And I feel like that crescendo into Stealing Time tells a better musical story, at least for this side so far. So Stealing Time from the Faulty Plan.
I do, in fact, have a blank space where my mind should be.
Do you have a Cliff Bar and some Earl Grey tea then?
I've got a blank space where my mind should be. I love that song. I really like that album. I know a lot of fans were like, they're like, about it. I really like that album a lot. But I heard some of those tunes debuted at the Camden show when they came back. I mean, not all of them, just some of them. But I didn't hear that one until later, I don't think. But, I mean, I digress. Great A minor to D to that E7. It's I would put that into blues. It's a 1-4-5 in a minor.
Right. So how are you following that up then?
I got a question for you. Because I think I know what I want to follow it up with, because I guess I'm feeling the mellow mellowness now. But, I'm feeling the mellow mellowness, but spacious, but still with a big ending.
Okay.
Kind of like Wingsuit, but this song I want to choose has an intro that is another track, but the intro is short enough that I want to make it one track if you'll allow me. And when I say what it is, you might just...
Dude, we make up the rules as we go along here. Have at it.
The horse
Nice.
into Silent in the Morning. I don't want to do. I mean, I've played Silent in the Morning live without the horse, but this is just something that like they blend so well that I don't want to take the horse away from Silent in the Morning.
Fair.
This is another favorite Phish tune of mine. This song just blows me away every time. Just it's so beautiful. The way it starts, how everything just kind of comes in together slowly, and it builds. Like I said, I love this album a lot, and what a way to close it out.
Going back to riffs for a third time, and for if you're talking about both tracks here, it's a twofer for Trey and Tom writing, although one thing you forgot to mention for the first time tonight, we have lead vocals from someone other than Trey, as Paige takes the lead for this album closing track. So as Silent in the Morning does build in a similar fashion to Wingsuit, like you mentioned, there's that crescendo at the end of Silent in the Morning as well. I sort of eased us out of Wingsuit. I'm not doing that again.
Come on, man. You got to ease on down the road.
Well, I like where you're thinking with that song because the song that you just said that from is very funky. So let's go with
Right.
something funky and 180 out of Silent in the Morning and use the second single from 2024's Evolve, which was my favorite album of 2024. And I'm going to go with, you mentioned it earlier during our little pun session at the top of the show, Oblivion.
It awaits.
I mean, this song is Phish's youthful spirit shining through the 3.0 era sound. This song is all sorts of funky. Mike's bass is off the rails. This is a track that just makes you want to get up and dance. And I don't know, there's a part of me that maybe wonders if some longtime Phish fans might question the fact that we're kind of spreading out so much across the catalog. But again, we're thinking 101 here. And to give the full story of what Phish is about, I think we need to talk about these newer tracks. And honestly, I feel like Oblivion goes over as well as over the last year as some of the older tracks. I think there's something about this one that just has that it factor that slays every time they play it.
I mean, you chose like one of my favorite tunes on the album. Like I think I was at the debut of Life Saving Gun, which is just another killer track from this album. But Oblivion it's Phish, and it sounds like Phish. It doesn't sound like Phish in their Rolling Stones phase of just like, hey, let's just keep doing what we do. This is Phish just being Phish, and how do they not be Phish? I love this album, and I what a great pick.
And now you get to follow it up.
I do. You know, okay, I'm tired. I keep hearing written by Trey and Tom and everybody else and Trey and Tom. And I just mentioned the Camden show with the debuts. Now, I know a lot of fans are going to give me crap for this, but at the Camden show, Trey played the middle of this right. But let's go with a song that Mike wrote, also from the Joy album. I want to go with Sugar Shack.
Nice.
It's a fun tune. It's boppy. It's a Mike song, like, you know, boppy, upbeat, boppy, like, it's just fun. And it's also, you know, let's throw some variety in here so people also know that, you know, hey, Mike also writes songs.
Run through the pale dark woods to that Sugar Shack. We're continuing to widen the spectrum of what Phish is about because we're bringing Paige's vocals and Mike's vocals into the mix. So I love that. What I love about Sugar Shack is if you listen to this song again with headphones, Mike's bass is kind of forward in this mix. And he's doing some ridiculous runs alongside of those lead vocals. So I love the fact that you pulled this part of Mike's studio side because the mix definitely sits out when you listen to Joy from front to back. And I think they purposely brought Mike's bass up just a little bit. And I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it really drives this song. And as a bassist, I have to kind of applaud that. All right. To follow this song up, I have to go with a song that is very, very special to me. Because when my wife and I started dating, we were doing the long distance relationship from New Hampshire to New Jersey. And we would do one of two things. I would burn mixed CDs for her and she would do the same for me. Or we would give each other CDs to listen to when we were traveling back and forth. And while I was familiar with Phish's music in the 90s, the first time I sat down and listened to an entire Phish album was when my now wife handed me her copy of Phish's Farmhouse.
Oh, dude, that's so sweet.
And as I was driving back, I put the album in and I spent the next 5.5 hours listening to the album over and over and over again. And I've said it a million times in this show, I am a sucker for album openers, and Farmhouse, the song, just grabs me. I know I'm going back to Trey and Tom once again, but there's just something about this song that immediately grabs your attention. And I know I'm not alone because I've talked about twice tonight with Heavy Things and Waste that there are the top 5 streamed Phish songs on Spotify. There were 3 other songs on that list. Bouncing Around the Room, Sample in a Jar, which was the second most streamed song at 13,456,126 streams. And coming in at number 1 for Phish, their most streamed song by almost double. 26,660,390 streams is Farmhouse. 2 of those songs I mentioned there, Bouncing Around the Room and Sample in a Jar, we haven't gotten to as of yet. But I'll say both of them are in my bank of songs tonight. Believe it or not, according to Spotify, I am going with the band's biggest hit. But I don't care. It's just that great of a song.
It was my first ever encore at my first ever Phish show. And the next morning when I got up, I immediately looked for this song and had my guitar out within seconds just to learn it. And thank God it's one of the easier songs to learn, especially when you're getting into Phish. But dude, what a perfect choice. I love this song so much. I don't know if you scooped me because I had enough mellowness, so I never really heard of Clusterflies. But alas, what will I follow that up with? Okay. All right, I'm going to go back sometime to another song that I didn't realize was Phish until I saw them in Camden in 2003. And I was like, oh, wow, this is a Phish tune? And funny enough, I thought it was Train back when Train was a blues rock band. And obviously, like, they have a song with the same title, but I still thought this was also them, and I didn't realize it was the same title. But I'm going with Free from Billy Breathes. I love this tune. What a great song. And once again, like, this is before fandom. So I didn't know that it was Phish until I was watching Phish and they played it. And I was like, ooh, hey, I know this song. Cool.
From 1996's Billy Breathes, written by Trey and Tom, and also chimed in by Patreon mixtaper Jason Donchis, the song hit number 7 on the Billboard Adult Alternative Airplay chart, their first and only time cracking the top 10. I think our friend and fellow Pantheon podcast member Jason Whistle of the It's Not That Bad and There Can Only Be One podcast will be happy to also learn that Free is the band's first song to chart in Canada, hitting number 68.
Well, Jason, prepare yourself. We're going to do Phish.
Love the track. It's definitely a live staple. And it's one of those songs that, at least in the 3.0 era, they've been opening up a lot more.
Dude, that opener over the summer was amazing. I can't remember where it was, but it was one of those things, you know how you can watch the set openers on YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
I wish I remember the date, but I remember like loving that Free a lot.
Well, we talked about horns earlier, so let's bring some horns into this. And I'm going to go with the album opening track from 1994's Hoist, written by, once again, Trey and Tom.
No kidding. Really?
We are going with Julius. But in what I think is a first for tonight, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, we actually have guests performing on the studio version, because you've got Rose Stone, Gene McClain, and Ricky Grundy Corral providing the gospel backup vocals. And then you've got the Tower of Power horn section adding their awesomeness to the fold. I might be a minority here, but I freaking love horn sections in jam bands. I mean, Trey's solo album, I talked about it earlier. I love it for that reason. But the Tower of Power horn section in Julius elevates a great Phish song into an epic Phish song. To me, this is Phish taking the fans to church, and I'm all there with my hand up in the air, waiting for them to preach the gospel of jam.
Dude, you're right. They do take us to church with this one. Man, Julius is such a great song. Did you even say the title, or did you just get so excited?
I said the title.
Oh, okay, all right. Because I mean, I was just hearing it in my head as you started talking about the gospel and the horns, and I'm just hearing in my head like, oh my God, I need to see them do it live that way.
Yeah, I feel like the live versions, when it's just the members of Phish, And this is no knock on it. I feel like this is an instance where you can make an argument where the studio version is better than a lot of the live versions because of the fact that you've got the Tower of Power horn section and the gospel choir in it.
I've seen them do it live. I wholeheartedly disagree.
Okay. I have never seen it live.
However, if I saw them do it live with horns, I would, Anyway, yeah, it is epic. It takes us to church. That's a perfect choice there, right? Oh my God. I should have chosen that as like the tape opener, like that, because I mean, wow.
Well, now you have the easy job of taking us home for the night. What is the exclamation point, the set closer, the encore, whatever you want to call it, for our Phish 101 mixtape?
Now you're lucky that the song, like the second night in Vegas in 2004, if you weren't there, yeah, I mean, I get it. I know you hate the show. But during Strange Design, I stood up like, oh my God, I get it. This is the greatest band ever. But Strange Design is not an album track. It is only on the single for free. So you said epic before. And I want to say epic, prog rock, You Enjoy Myself.
Nice.
From Junta does that. It gives me the prog rock, and it gives me like a 2/5 blues jam later on. And then, of course, the vocal jam. Oh, yeah, I'm going with You Enjoy Myself from Junta.
Closing both side A and side B with songs off of Junta, written by Trey alone this time. It's the band's most frequently played song. So coming from a 101 perspective, I feel like we'd be doing a disservice not including this song. Rolling Stone magazine actually ranked You Enjoy Myself number 85 in their list of the 100 greatest guitar solos of all time.
Wow, really?
Yes.
Wow. Well, I hate to say this, and you can bleep me if you want to, but they're not relevant anymore. Rolling Stone, not Phish.
I was about to say, you had a lot of angry Phish fans there for a second. Now, Sean, I have to wonder here. Entertain this notion for me here for a moment. You Enjoy Myself creates a live experience because you get Mike and Trey on the trampolines. So I want to ask you, as somebody who's seen them live, who knows the studio albums, as a Phish fan, do you feel like You Enjoy Myself is as popular as it is because of the song itself, the visual aspect of the live performance, similar to the dance that's done during Cavern, or is it a combination of both?
I mean, they're theatrics. I mean, there's also the dance and punch you in the eye. So I think the song just is that strong that it stands on its own, that the second you hear that first do-do-do-do, everybody knows what it is and they're going nuts because they love the song. They love how they jam it out live. Yeah, the trampolines are awesome, especially that really wide twist, not to be confused with the song, but the really wide twist that Trey does, it's just dangerous.
My back hurts watching it.
Oh my God. Although at the same time, I just really want to get up there, but not with a guitar. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that for people that haven't seen Phish live, go and change that. Chris Kuroda is the fifth member of the band. The light show is phenomenal. And of course, they do these little stage theatrics. They do stage theatrics that are just so much fun, i.e. trampolines and You Enjoy Myself. But I think the song is strong enough that it stands on its own, and that's why it's popular.
Well, there you have it, mixtapers. Side B of our Ultimate Phish mixtape, which consists of Chalk Dust Torture from A Picture of Nectar, Wingsuit from Fuego, Stealing Time from The Faulty Plan from Joy, The Horse and Silent in the Morning from Rift, Oblivion from Evolve, Sugar Shack from Joy, Farmhouse from the album of the same name, Free from Billy Breathes, Julius from Hoist, and You Enjoy Myself from Junta. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page. Sean, why don't you remind listeners where to connect with you on social and where they can find your music?
So you can find me, of course, at SeanFaustMusic.com, where there's links to my music. show dates, stuff like that. But of course, there's the Bandcamp where you can buy the music. I mean, of course, like I'm streaming everywhere that music is streaming, but I'm also available to purchase everywhere you purchase. And my song Gin Asylum, I need 1 million sales of that. I want to help animals. I know I say this on every show I do, but this is my goal. I want to have that cushion so when somebody needs help with an animal, whether it's a vet bill, whether it's trapping and putting them somewhere, I want to be able to just be like, hey, here you go. So 1 million sales of that song, and let's go with 10 million streams on Spotify. So please, Gin Asylum. And of course, Brian, you were so gracious enough to talk about Status Quo Radio earlier. I'm kind of proud with how that came out. I'm not patting myself on the back. It's just a song that I'm very proud with the outcome of. So just go buy some music and, support indie artists. Buy their music. Don't just stream it. Buy the music of indie artists. They need your support because we're the ones in the trenches.
That you are, and it's always a pleasure to have you come out of the trenches for an hour to talk music with me, dude. Thank you so much for joining me on My Weekly Mixtape. Look forward to the next one.
Thanks, brother.
Remember, you can find My Weekly Mixtape on almost all the social media haunts at My Weekly Mixtape. You can also head to myweeklymixtape.com to check out the full catalog of My Weekly Mixtape episodes. And finally, if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or joining the Patreon Mixtaper community at patreon.com/My Weekly Mixtape. There you can find ad-free episodes of the show, gain early access to future episodes, chime in on upcoming topics, become a future guest, and so much more. That's all for this week. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, enjoy the tunes.